Hey everybody, it's Crazy Alaskan Kachat here today with a tutorial video which I have not done in a very long time. Today we're going to be showing you how to build your own, or paint your own, Lego OCP army figures. So I've had a lot of requests for this over the years and, for Lego army tutorials, but I never actually done it, so here we go, a tribute to my old fans again. So first order of business, you're going to get your favorite music on, and just, I don't know what you guys like, but this is what I like anyway, so I listen to this when I paint. It's nice to have something soothing to listen to. Anyhow, so next order of business is you're going to get your paints. So for the American flag at the end, which is optional, you don't have to do it, but if you want to, I like to use Tamiya paints personally. I use flat red, flat blue, and flat white. Just plain and simple, no fancy blue colors or anything. That's going to be XF7, XF8, and XF2. My next paints are going to be the very essential ones, the ones that are actually going to make the camo. It's going to be brown / JGSDF, Hall Red, Wooden Deck Tan, and Field Gray, which isn't honestly gray, it's actually olive drab, but I don't know why it's called Field Gray. So again, those numbers are going to be XF72, 9, 78, and 65, just for your information. Now next, you're obviously going to need some paintbrushes. So for define work, I like to use Tesser's brushes number 2, number 3. Also, I just have one of these stock white paintbrushes that it could be any old paintbrush, it doesn't have to be this. But as long as it's a little bit frayed at the end, that's what you want. You want it to be a little bit frayed, and you'll see why in a little bit. And this is what our final product is going to look like. So if you don't like the way it looks, just X out of this video now, but if you do want to make this, stay tuned. So your first step is going to find a Lego minifigure. It doesn't matter if he's like marred or disfigured or anything. All you have to do is make sure that he has all his body parts, obviously. So you're going to disassemble everything. You're going to take the arms out of their sockets, all the legs. You're going to displace the hips, take the torso out, disconnect it from the legs, etc. Alright, now first you're going to get your wooden deck tan. Sorry, it's a little blurry there, but anyway, that's the wooden deck tan. You're going to shake it up real well, and also make sure you have a little water bowl to wash your paintbrushes in. I usually wash my brushes under a sink after I'm done, but just have a bowl on hand just to clean them out temporarily, like that. Well, not like that, a little bit cleaner if possible, but let's move that out to the side, get your paint ready. And the first thing you're going to do is apply, you're going to apply the torso to the hips, and then you're going to apply a thin layer of wooden deck tan across the entire surface of the torso, legs, arms, everything. Yeah, and also the combat vest and helmet. You're going to apply a thin layer of wooden deck tan to everything. Here's a little tip worth mentioning. If you do not want to get a bunch of paint on your fingers, if you have a hot date, which I don't anyway, but if you want to save your nails, I recommend using like a shovel or something that the figures or the legs can grasp onto. That way it gives you a little bit more leverage, you can hold it easier. Anyway, so that makes it easier for painting legs and arms for me. And once you've done that, you can move on to the vest. Now, same thing applies here. You can be a little bit more generous when applying paint the first time, because if it does get a little thick, it won't impede with the movement of the arms and legs like the body parts will. You know what I mean? These are just accessories. And honestly, if it does get a little flaky at the end, that's all right, because actual helmets are a little bit grainy and on the top anyway, so that's fine. It'll make it look more realistic. Once you've applied the first layer, wait for a couple hours if you're patient, and if you're not, that's fine. And apply a second and third layer subsequently, until you can't see the bottom layer anymore. Because the wooden deck tan is the base paint, and you want to make sure that it looks very nice. You don't want to see any of the original minifigure underneath. Next up, for the boots, you are going to get your brown / JGSDF XF72. Again, sorry for the camera not focusing, it's annoying, I know. Shake that up real well, and then you're going to get your number 2 paintbrush, not the very fine one, but the fine one, and a midline brush, I guess I should say. Attach your legs to the shovel, like I do. And then you're going to want to paint the very bottom of the legs. And you're not going to want to have it too high, because military boots aren't that high, just, I guess midway above the ankle. Anyhow, you're going to paint the boots, and then when you're done, let that sit aside. Apply this body part gets the most use, honestly, because it's rubbing on the base plates and whatnot all day. So make sure you give it like 3 or 4 layers. I'm not showing this in the video because it obviously takes too long, but yeah, give it 3 or 4 layers. Wait for a couple hours after each layer, of course. Okay, now here's the fun part. So you're going to get your Field Gray XF65. You're going to begin the peppering process, is what I call it. So you're going to get your brush. You're going to fray it a little bit at the end by dabbing it on a paper towel or whatnot. Then just dip into the paint a little bit, barely. You don't want too much. But this is the layer that we do want the most of for green. So just dab it on there generously. Don't have enough that it covers up all of the tan, but have enough that it sticks out boldly. We want there to be a decent amount of green, because OCP isn't just tan. And yeah, after all that's done, apply the light green pepperings to everything. And after that, you're going to begin the next phase with the Hall Red, which isn't red, it's brown. And take a little bit of that, not as much as last time, and pepper that lightly on the surface as well. Make sure it has about half the amount as green is. You don't want the brown to be too overpowered because there isn't a lot of dark brown on OCP either. Finally, the last step is to apply a very, very vague layer of white across the entire surface of the minifigure and the accessories. You're not going to want very much at all. As you can tell, I'm barely peppering the surface. Just get a very little bit of white at the tip of your frayed paintbrush and just dab it very, very gently on the minifigure. You only want, on the entire minifigure, you probably only want, let's see, the front torso, you probably only want 4 or 5 little white dots on the front because OCP doesn't have a lot. It's not even white, it's just a very, very light cream, but it looks better if you put white because it sticks out a little bit better and it makes it look less like German Flecktarn. Okay, now here comes the most challenging part for some people. You're going to get your right arm, attach it to the shovel, you're going to get your Tetzer's No. 3 paintbrush, and if you want to do the flags, it's optional like I said. But begin with the white, draw a very, very small white rectangle, like so. Next thing you do is going to clean your paintbrush, obviously. And again, we're using a very fine No. 3 paintbrush. Get your red out. Now, you're going to want to barely dip it. You're going to draw about, if you're good at painting, you're going to be able to paint around 6 to 7 red stripes on that little white field. It doesn't matter if you get in the blue part, because the blue part overpowers the red anyway. So just draw 6 or 7 little red stripes. You're going to get your blue next, and then you're going to draw the little blue rectangle in the top left corner to make the American flag. If you want, if you're really fancy, you can add some little white dots in it for stars, but you know, no one's going to see that in Red Storm. So after all said and done, you can let your little pieces aside, put everything together, admire it for a little bit, and let it sit for another hour or two. And last but not least comes the most satisfying part. You're going to take all your minifigure pieces while you're listening to your Ariana Grande music, and you are going to assemble all the pieces very carefully. Now, you're going to be, why I say very carefully is if you have not waited for a day after the paint has set like I do, you're going to want to be very careful, otherwise you run the risk of scratching your new minifigure. If you want, you can apply a very flat shellac on a minifigure. I do this for my figures after my filming because it looks very shiny during filming. It doesn't look very good, but I do that after the film just to preserve them. But if you want to keep them just for keepsakes, yeah, apply a coat of flat shellac, and that will significantly enhance the durability of the paint. And again, you're gonna be wanting to be very careful, especially around the arms. The legs aren't so much of a big deal, but the arms, they tend to rub on the side of the torso a lot. Assemble the vest and just pop the head on and the helmet, and you are good to go. If you want, you can hot glue a pair of binoculars onto the top to make it look like NVGs, but you know, that was just for fun. And there you have it. There is your minifigure. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much all for today. If you guys enjoyed this tutorial video and want to see more, make sure you leave a like and subscribe for more great content. Stay frosty.